Hey guys, today I'm working on a Stihl 017. I'm going to put a carb kit in it, but I'm also just going to go over a few little things and I meant to show you what I was doing there, but I forgot. I'm putting on back together just how the throttle linkage comes off them. As far as the carbs themselves go, once you got it off, basically if you got it off, you're looking at a diaphragm 9 times out of 10. Also, these you can buy this canned gas and stuff. It's it's shit. They saws won't even rev up to full RPM on it. It's nonsense. This rubber vat. This is your diaphragm here. It works off a little pulse hole right here in the saw. As the piston goes up and down, it goes in through here, or here, one of them. It causes this to open and close your fuel valve depending on the speed of the pulse. And so you can see the diaphragm kind of sticks either one way or the other instead of kind of being neutral in the middle. There's a gasket stuck on this. The gasket goes below the diaphragm. Some people mess that up sometimes. And then that changes, basically like changing your float height in a float style carburetor. The other thing you gotta watch for is this little nipple on the diaphragm here. As you can see, this is a long one. You gotta make sure you get the right kit. There's other kits that have this identical part, but this little nipple's half the length. Yes, that's basically one of the main problems. These are your jets in here. Crazy small. On this side of the carburetor, this is kind of this is your fuel pump. You can see inside here this half a circular oval shape there. That's a little flapper, like a reed. And this one here is also the same thing. If you look at this one here, you can see that's not covering the hole right now. The reed's bent up. And the other one is The other one looks like it's working. The screen. It's hard to get a good. There we go. You can see that screen's falling out in there. It looks like it wasn't this this edge right there. You can see in the hole. That's the edge of the screen popped out. Probably not the problem, but these screens are the other kind of common problem you have with these carbs is your needle valve is right there. This is your metering lever. That's what your diaphragm moves. So fuel's coming in here through your fuel pump, through this screen. And anyways, the screen gets plugged and you don't get any fuel. And I find this is one of the good screens, I call them, because you can hold it to the light and you can see through it. Some of them, the mesh is like twice as tight as that, and any bit of dirt plugs it up basically. When you take this out, this metering lever, it's there'll be a new one in the kit that we're going to use and all that, but you got to pay attention to where it's set, because again, that's sort of like setting your float height in a float type carb. There's a gauge you can get if you work on these all the time, one for Zama, one for Walboro, and it just, you know. You can see through this hole right there. That's what you want. But when you got a plugged up screen, you'll look through there and you won't be able to see through. Also, if you're going to try and get yourself a kit, right here behind the fuel line, there's numbers on it. In this case, it says WT 717325. But if you only got a Husky dealer and you got a Stihl saw, like, these carburetors are the same. So if you get that number off and give them that, and they don't know what kind of saw you got, and they get you the right kit. You can see this new diaphragm does have the right size nipple. You can see how it's kind of just staying neutral. It's hard to press because it's off, but when I press it, it always comes back. And that's what you want. Yeah, this one's kind of wrinkled up, and it's not sitting flat. It's pulling that way, which would be pushing on the metering lever arm, causing it to leak fuel. Now this kit, you can see that. All these parts are in this chainsaw, obviously. These are metering, or the fuel pump reads for different kinds of saws. This is the gasket we need, the diaphragm we need. You gotta check them out careful because this is a different type. You want to get your parts lined up and make sure you got the right ones. And this is actually the one I need. Am I doing the ones? Old ones? This is a needle valve we're going to be using. A new metering lever arm. I suggest if you put this on and you don't have the gauge and it looks different than the first time that you reuse the old one, as the height's already set. With an extra needle valve for a bigger saw. It's funny, I got millions of these kits, but it's always the same parts you need, so you may as well throw them in a box like I do and forget about it or huck them out. Same thing with these. We got a gasket and a set of reeds here. Your reeds are always going to sit on the flat aluminum body first and then the gasket, or else the gasket will be holding the reeds away from the same thing. We're going to go through the kit and find the one that looks the same, which is pretty straightforward. In this case, it's a black rubber one, and these are carbon fiber or whatever you want to call them. And the same thing, we get all these gaskets. There's the old one. You can see these indents in it and stuff. It's not usually the problem on these chainsaws, but on some other carbs I work on, the gaskets get so flat that they're no longer sealing, basically. Anyways, we got this pin is for a rocker arm to pivot on. It seems like the kit didn't come with a new spring, but there's nothing wrong with this one, obviously. Alright guys, I'm just going to wash my hands and blow this off with the air hose. And then we're going to put it all back together. Alright guys, I got my hands washed up and I'll blow this out. You definitely want to get through all the jets and down where your needle valve goes, nice and clean. Same with thing through this, where that screen goes before you put the screen in. These little needle valves, like, you don't even want to touch the tip of that, like a little fingerprint with some sawdust that you can't even see in it to make it leak. I usually pick up the needle with the metering arm, put my rocker arm in it. The way I'm holding my fingers, the spring sits on that little hole there. Yeah. And you're carefully going to get that needle valve down in the hole, press down the spring. And you got this screw here. Short one holds that rocker arm down. Just down a little. I'm looking at my rocker arm there. It's Seems to be right where it was when I took it apart. The other one. Take our new screen. That last one was just tucked in there like that with the finger, but you gotta take something and you gotta push it down in that hole. I'm gonna push it hard and I'm just gonna touch it in there. One of those fine screens I was talking about, if you're pushing it in there with a screwdriver, moving the screwdriver around, it'll close up all the holes and you won't get any fuel. Drive you nuts. And so we got a new rubber diaphragm. You gotta be careful when you're lining this up. There's a bunch of little holes in that there. You gotta I always just hold the throttle like that when I put this piece on, because it's trying to press up against that screw and it knocks this cover off on you. Line everything up like that. Let that go while I'm holding the cover. Same thing here. We're going to put except this time it's the gasket down first. It's always going to be the gasket underneath the diaphragm. And our new diaphragm. Yeah, if you take these off, you basically put a kid in it, because the diaphragm's bad. You got to go to this side to check if that screen's plugged anyways. You got it all apart. Same thing, you want to put the whole kit in. You get this, put half of it in, get it back together, and don't work, then you got to do it again. Let's see, call my air hose, blow all this shit out of there. This is your choke linkage. That's just going to go like that. This is the throttle linkage. To take it off, what I did was I put this on wide open, which moves out like that. And then I held this and let go of the trigger. And then the rod slides out. That makes sense. If I was working on chainsaws every day and this didn't have the molded fuel lines, like, I'd probably replace the line and the filter and everything, just so you know, because the rubber goes to hell. That's the normal. The good fuel line there, tag on it. So slid the carburetor back in there. This is your throttle. So all I'm going to do is hold that like that. Pretty crazy simple when you, it's hard to see, but to get it off, all you got to do is, so that's off again. So to get it on, all you do is hold this thing down, the throttle plate. And then put your rod in front of it and let it go, and you can see there it's operating. You can see you want to, make sure you're getting full throttle, hitting the stop. It's coming back and hitting the idle screw. So then you got the choke lever. It goes in the end of this little plastic rod here, like that. And you just put that end in there. Hold your, you want to have the trigger in while you're doing this. I'm used to it, so I was kind of letting it go, but you don't want to learn the hard way that you should. And then just put that end in, and then full throttle. I think that's it. But on the throttle lock, on full choke, then move it to half choke. Snaps all off. It's back to idle. You got to be careful moving this switch without the cover on, because the covers. And see what I just did there when I put that together the first time? This metal tang got pushed down under on me. That's your kill switch. And basically what happened is this ground tang supplies ground the coil to kill us.